It is now 10:30, and we will go ahead and get started. Good morning, and welcome to the Air Force District of Washington A1 External Training Program. Today we are featuring DoD Performance Management and Appraiser Program. Our presenter today is Ms. Latasha Barnes from AFDW A1C. At this time, if you could please mute all mics during the duration of today's training. Should you have any questions, please either annotate it in the chat or raise your virtual hand. Also, upon conclusion of today's training, please take some time to complete the training evaluations via the link annotated in the chat. It will also be I will also resend it by the chat at the conclusion of today's briefing as well. This training is being recorded and will be available on AFDW University. The link is in the chat. At this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Barnes. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Latasha from AFDW A1C. We're excited to provide this training on the DoD Performance Management and Appraisal Program, also known as DPMAP. Please keep in mind this training is geared towards our GS employees. If there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat throughout the training.
Latasha, your mic is muted. Can you do a mic test, Latasha?
Yes, just 1 minute. We're having some issues here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you.
My apologies. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. So we sent out all the slides, but today we'll be focusing on appraisals as the rating cycle is coming to an end. We'll be covering appraisals, the rating levels, and the My Performance tool. Please take a few moments to read over this slide. Annual appraisals. For annual appraisals, we use the My Performance tool, which is also the DD Form 2906. This tool is used to create the performance plan, the progress review, and the appraisal. This tool documents changes in the plan, the progress review, and employee input and performance narratives. For an employee to receive an annual rating of record, they must be on the approved plan for at least 90 days. The performance cycle runs from April 1st to March 31st, with an effective date for the awards of June 1st. Employees' performance can be rated 5, 3, or 1. 5 are outstanding with an average score of 4.3 or greater. 3 are fully successful with an average score of 4.2 or less. 1 are unacceptable. Please keep in mind, if you're going to rate an employee with a 1 in any element, the entire appraisal will be coded as unacceptable. Evaluating performance. Employee input is not mandatory, but we highly encourage it. The input provided will become a part of the employee's performance record. Supervisors should make evaluations based on the employee's duties and responsibilities and how they are linked to the organizational mission and goals. As a supervisor, you are required to provide a narrative statement for each performance element. The narratives provide justification for any awards given. Any performance issues or decline in the employee's performance should be addressed early on. Employee end of year self-assessment. This is where an employee wants to sell themselves, show them all the accomplishments they have achieved. An employee should show how their performance has positively impacted the mission. If there were any obstacles they had to overcome, please explain how they overcame them. Make sure to include any awards or recognitions received and any training or professional development courses they have completed. This is an example of an employee narrative. You can see the performance standard and the employee writes out how they contributed to the mission. They also point out the recognitions they have received. I'll leave this up for a moment for you all to take a minute to read. Supervisor annual assessment. Supervisors should request and consider the employee's input. They'll write a narrative summary for each element. The element should show the nexus between the employee's accomplishments and the impact of the impact it has on the organization. Address performance issues with the employee. Approved and finalized ratings should be clearly communicated between the supervisor and the employee. Again,
I should do that too. Do you want to shut that? Shut that.
We have a live mic. Can you mute, please?
again, if the supervisor is going to rate an employee as a 1, please contact your servicing employee manager relations specialist. Your servicing CPS will provide information on the process for submitting performance awards. This slide gives a breakdown of each rating level. Level 5 performers are those employees that go above and beyond. Level 3 employees are the employees who come in and get their job done and may go above and beyond at times, but not as often as a level 5 performer. There's nothing wrong with being coded as a 3. This allows opportunity for improvement and growth. Level 1 performers are unsuccessful. They may fail to produce quality work and they lack the required skills for their job. All right, here we have an example of a supervisor narrative statement. In this example, it shows the elements and then the supervisor details the impact their employees' work has effectively helped the departmental goals and how they have improved throughout the cycle. I'll leave this one up as well for you all to read over. This chart shows examples of performance element ratings for 4 separate employees. Note that the system will automatically calculate the overall rating. If you notice, employee D in the last column is rated 1 in element 4. Based on what we mentioned before, the entire appraisal will be coded as 1, unacceptable. Recognizing and rewarding. We encourage recognizing and rewarding employees throughout the rating cycle with a simple thank you or public recognition. Medals or coins are also good. Is there anyone in this training that have recognized their employees or have been recognized by their supervisors in different ways other than listed on the slides? If so, please feel free to unmute and chime in.
Okay, I'll chime in. So we had a commander that it was a big deal to have a can-do attitude. And so what he would do at commander's calls is if anybody had done something above and beyond, he would recognize them with a can of Mountain Dew soda. And so everybody really enjoyed that, and it made it a little more fun to be recognized with that. So that was just one of the little things that the commander did to make it fun.
I
Anyone
think I
else?
would like that incentive.
Yeah, me too. I'm not sure about the Mountain Dew, but maybe a cherry Coke or something.
Right.
Anyone else?
All right, moving on. Final performance discussion. During the final performance discussion, supervisors should discuss the employee's input, their narrative input, and the reading rationale. After this discussion, it should be documented in the My Performance tool with the employee's acknowledgement. If the employee does not agree with the rating, they must still acknowledge the rating, as changes cannot be made without their acknowledgement. Supervisors should attempt to resolve any rating disagreements informally. If they can't resolve the disagreement, bargaining unit employees may use the negotiated grievance procedure. Non-bargaining unit employees may use the administrative grievance system. Employees also have the right to appeal the performance-based action through the Merit System Protection Board, MSBP. Again, please contact your servicing EMR if there are any issues. Specially situated employees. Employees that are on details, the original supervisor will seek input from the detail supervisor. Employees that are on an extended absence or paid leave, to include those for military service. If they have worked under the approved plan for 90 days, they are eligible for a rating. If they have not been on the plan for 90 days, that will make them ineligible for a rating. Employees on long-term, full-time training, they are eligible for rating, and their performance elements will be written specific to the training objectives. Employees who transfer or supervisors who depart during the rating cycle, the length of time an employee serves under an approved performance plan determines what is required when the employee or supervisor departs. If a supervisor leaves the organization, a performance narrative statement is required when an employee has performed under an approved plan for 90 calendar days, and there are more than 90 calendar days left in the appraisal cycle. This narrative statement will be considered by the new supervisor. A rating of record is required when an employee has performed under an approved plan for 90 calendar days, and the employee or supervisor leaves the organization with fewer than 90 calendar days remaining in the appraisal cycle. If circumstances preclude the departing supervisor from carrying out this responsibility, the higher level reviewer may serve as a rating official. So what's next? After closing the appraisal, it's the best time to start the next plan. This is the time for employees to reflect on the past appraisal and provide input for the next cycle. This is a great time for supervisors to review employees' position descriptions as well. Ensure that they are accurate and up to date with the employee's current duties and responsibilities. This is also an opportunity for supervisors to address any shortfalls. What could be assessed? Was the plan written smartly? Use this time to improve for next year. Performance plans are due April 30th. All right, now I'll walk you through the performance tool for employee and supervisors rating input. Once the supervisor transfers the plan to the employee can log into MyBiz. Once logged in, under Key Services, select My Performance. Your records will then populate. Select Update under the Action column and select Go. On the next screen, you will select Annual Appraisal, then Inputs and Ratings.
Ms. Barnes, there's somebody who's looking to get let into the briefing. Over.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm working that. I don't see them in the lobby, so I'll work that. Go ahead, Latasha. I got you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
For each element, the employee is encouraged to provide their input. This is where you want to shine. Show how awesome you are. Go through each element, continuously click until you get to the end and press save and continue. Once complete, under the annual appraisal tab, select approvals and acknowledgements. If not selected, the approvals tab you'll have to select it yourself. Use the drop down to transfer to rating official and click go. You have the option to send with or without an email. As shown in yellow, a confirmation will appear. All right, now we're on to the rating official's input. The rating official will log in to My Biz and select performance management and appraisal. The supervisor will see several employees. To get to the correct employee, please change the drop down to update and click go. Supervisor will then acknowledge the supervisory commitment statement. To initiate employee input, select the annual appraisal tab, then select transfer to employee and go. Then select whether you wish to use an email notification or not. Once the employee's input is received, or if the employee does not provide input, repeat the first steps until the annual appraisal tab, narratives and ratings subtab. Review employee input, add rating official's narrative, and select the performance element rating. Then click go to next performance element. You're going to repeat this for each element until all elements are rated. Then click continue and save.
Can you go back to the previous slide real quick, Latasha? So hi everybody, this is Kathy Hill. Just on this slide, you can see the summary rating elements here, and this will make sure that you have gotten every element scored, and then it will give you your average score and of course your rating of record. Next slide, thank you. So for rating official input, I wanted to talk about this slide because it's very important that we follow all of the steps to make sure that the appraisal is coordinated on and can be fully closed. So the rating official is going to hit the start button, and then it will be either transferred to the higher level reviewer, and you have several options. Option A is that it will be sent to the higher level reviewer, and they will actually go into the system and annotate that they concur with the appraisal. Option B is a different option to where the the supervisor can annotate the information for the higher level reviewer without it actually being sent to the higher level reviewer. Sometimes the supervisor will discuss all of their employees with the higher level reviewer. And if the higher level reviewer agrees with the scores for those employees, then you don't have to transfer all of those records to the higher level reviewer for signature unless it's directed by your organization or your staff. In this situation, if I talk to my supervisor and the higher level reviewer agrees on all of the scores, then I can go in as a supervisor, use option B, put in there that I've already discussed the method of review with the higher level reviewer and the review date, and I can hit save to close out that part of the appraisal. Next slide.
Once the higher level reviewer approves, select the start button as step 3. This will document the communication you already had with the employee. Fill in the date, the method, and then you would transfer to the employee for their acknowledgement. Here's where the employee would acknowledge. They will simply press start on step 4. If they are not able to sign, the supervisor can acknowledge on their behalf. All of the steps must be completed in order for you all to give rewards to the employees. Do we have any questions?
So this is Kathy. Okay, I see. So yes, if an employee is rated 1, must they be placed on a PIP or should have already been on a PIP prior to closeout if receiving a 1 rating? Either way, whenever there is some type of, their performance is lacking, you can put them on a PIP right away, or you can, once you give them a 1, you can then place them on a PIP. Please talk with your EMR section about that, because they have different rules on putting people on a PIP. Okay? You're welcome. There was a hand up. I think it went down. Did we
That
answer
was me.
that?
That was me. It's Mr. Reed.
Okay.
I was just wondering what the guidance is for this, as far as like the Air Force guidance or DoD guidance.
For what, the PIP or the?
For personnel management, for ratings and whatnot,
Okay.
for performing annual reviews and.
Yeah, there is, we usually go through DC Pass, but the local EMR office does have a guide that they can send you. If you're a supervisor, you should have already gotten one. I'm not sure where you're at, but I know that the 316th did send that out with a guide on how to do the performance.
Roger that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, Latasha, there's a question. What action in the system do you take for a member that was on military leave the entire year, not eligible for rating based on the 90-day requirement, but unclear what to do in the system? Did you want to answer that, Latasha? You're on mute still. She might be having technical difficulties there. So in the system, since they're on military leave for the entire year, they are not eligible for that. You shouldn't have to do anything in the system because, of course, there was no rating and no approved plan or anything like that to do. But to check with the EMR section and we'll make that happen. Okay. I'll just keep going since Latasha's having some difficulty. Again, this is Kathy Hill, everyone. I'm the A1C at AFDW. The video will be available and the slides will be available as well, I'm sure. Is that right, Karen? Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, how do awards work? Is that another system? So yes, awards are different. They'll go, I see you're with AFLOA. So your local EMR will should be sending your spreadsheet with your award bogeys. And then the way most CPOs do it, and I can't attest for all of them, you'll be given a spreadsheet and you will annotate the award amount in whole dollars, no cents. And if you're going to also give them a time off award, you will annotate that on the spreadsheet as well. And then you will send that to your local CPO and they will actually upload it into what our HR system is called Auto NOAA. And then the awards will process. The monetary awards will be effective the 1st of June. And if you have time off awards, those will be effective the 2nd of June. You can, of course, give a combination of awards if you want to. They can get cash and time off, or just cash, or just time off, or of course no awards, depending on their scores. Okay. Is there anything else I can answer today? So again, if you have any questions, I know the slides will be available here. The audio recording will be available. And then again, you can always contact your local EMR, Employee Management Relations. They will be able to help answer any questions if you have additional ones based on this. We have been using DPMAP for a while now, so hopefully all of us are good on that, and this is just a refresher for us. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or anything? Okay, yes, George Sutherland.
Yeah, so I'm coming back into DP Maps. I was in DCPS, DSIPs for a while, and then coming back here. So I'm seeing it kind of vacillated. Look like it's changed to more of a narrative form now rather than bulletized, or is that just a preference depending on the organization that you're in?
Um, Actually, it could be both, but we'd rather have a narrative. Even on awards, we've started going away from bullets and in resumes as well. We'd rather have the narrative statements. It just gives you more room, and bullets are supposed to be just blank. Here's your problem, here's how you resolve it, and all that kind of stuff. Where a narrative allows you to really expound on what the person has done. So yes, we really are moving more towards narrative statements. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, thank you, Ms. Barnes, for presenting, and thank you all for attending today's training. Please take the time to complete the survey by going to the link in the chat. As stated earlier, the video and slides will be available. Recording of today's training will be also uploaded on the AFDW University website, also listed in the chat. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day. This concludes today's training.